Right, so Wakefield Council have got on their compliments and complaints page, it's giving an option contact us online, or our social media channels will be not monitored after 9 p.m. Contact us with my account. Contact us with Facebook. Right, so this is going to be legitimate. Look at this. Contact us with Facebook. Use your Facebook account to ask a question or tell us something. We'll get back to you quickly and you won't be waiting in a call centre. Contact us on our Wakefield Council Facebook page. Press the button. Oh, here we are. Wakefield Council. I can actually... Oh, look. So, but I can only... Has it got a messenger? No. So I'm guessing you just put a reply under... They are the ones who are starting topics and they are the ones who are starting subjects. So how you contact them can only possibly be in a response to something that they have posted, but you might have something completely different. But apparently you can still contact them. We won't tolerate hate in Wakefield. Looks like they're going mega work. Right, okay. So what I'm gonna do is then all you can really do is like, comment, or whatever under something else that they've put and hope someone sees it. I'll do that. Oh, actually, I've actually got a message. I've got an option to messenger them now, so I can actually messenger them. It wasn't showing before because I was logged in with a different account that was like a page, not my own profile. So I can contact them. So I actually want to contact them over this. So it's saying, this is in the BBC News, right? The first fine issued for illegal use of a log burner. Wakefield Council investigated 216 complaints related to domestic chimneys between 2019 and 2022. So they want to try to stop people using log burners. We weren't actually in Wakefield City, but I've got a feeling they're going to try and spread this policy more and more. They're going to try and stop people from having a traditional style home if they've got a cottage or something that happens to fall within a certain area, which is really trying to force people to change the style of their houses and living in the same way that Sadiq Khan's really squeezing people with these fines in London for the ULEZ charges, forcing older vehicles off people when a lot of the new electric cars are blowing up. Now, it's actually, funnily enough, it's going to come down to the same law, believe it or not, to do with the congestion charge in London and ULEZ and these log burners, and I'll explain to you why. And unfortunately, I'm not a great fan of councillors, and I'm not a fan of council legal departments. I have to say this honestly, I don't think they're that intelligent. I mean, I'm only just learning a lot myself recently, but I don't think the people who stand for election are that intelligent in law or really in the policies of the council. And a lot of the legal services departments don't really know the law properly, particularly when it comes to political rights. And it's just the whole Starmerism. You know, Labour have now taken over all this area, and it's a political party thing. And it's going to come down to that with the law of the whole constitution in the nation. Not only with all these petition actions that have been going in London where they've been illegally prosecuting people when they've got privileges, when you've only got civil liability, not criminal liability. And I've now solved that problem in law by discovering all of the separate acts that are lesser known, like the Claim of Right, 1688 Bill of Rights, not just Magna Carta, but all the use of Parliament books, the rest of it. But I'm wondering, that's law that we're just starting to get them to try to accept now, and they're actually starting to now start to accept it slowly but surely, because it affects a lot of these Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil campaigns and the ULEZ, all of them really. I'll explain why this log is relevant to the Magna Carta, right? So, funnily enough, the BBC have just popped this up on the page, right? This couldn't be more... If Wakefield Council don't think that there's some kind of hacking or algorithms or entity, whether it is the BBC or whoever, organising these Google results, this Google result has perfectly come up together on my phone. I was doing something else and I've got sidetracked from it, right? I was doing a complaint to Judicial Conduct Investigations Office, right? And I was trying to get some screenshots. And then this come up. They're both next to each other. They've got the Magna Carta campaigners in court for damaging the casing of the Magna Carta. And then underneath it, they've got the log fires. Well, I was interested in both these stories straight away because I'm doing legal representations for women like this for their rights. But mainly a lot of cases in London, right? But I think that one was over Bristol, right? Direction. But that they've been entered a plea, but they're not back until 2026 now for their trial, which is 18 months, I think. Now, the law that the actual document that they apparently have broke or interfered with the display of in the Bristol area is intimately connected to this log burning thing here, because in the Magna Carta, there is a legal right to your fuel for purposes of burning to keep warm, and protections against the government taking it from you and stopping you from using it. You wouldn't be protected to stop them from taking it off you if you couldn't use it for purposes of fuel and keeping warm, right? Actually would. And that's actually in the Magna Carta. Regardless of what modern technologies we've got, it is in the Magna Carta. So that's the Magna Carta link to this story here, which is, I don't know if this is how the BBC work with Google and how they managed to get them next to each other, but they have. So we'll go on to this story now, right? So this is the complaint. And the thing is, I don't like complaining to councils because they just don't watch the videos and they don't listen. I mean, I've complained to Kirklees Council multiple times, Highways Department. I send videos, I record things, I look on YouTube, has it had any views? No. It's like talking to a brick wall. I don't think anyone listens. And when someone does listen, it's almost like if you call the Samaritans or something. Is there a competent person listening to all of it and taking down notes? I don't want to submit it in writing. When you put it in writing, it doesn't have the same message, the same impact, the same conveyance as a real person. We're losing humanity. You could say it's antisocial to not speak to people, antisocial to not be able to go into the council and appear yourself, summons, I am appearing at the council to complain and speak to someone. Is the person competent? Are they an expert in law? Are they going to refer it to legal services? Can I challenge their legal services if they don't agree with me? I'm going to attempt now to try and teach Wakefield Council this. And it's going to be a big issue. It's going to be huge because there are huge things in London to do with Tony Blair. The congestion charge in Magna Carta, the Liberty of London, when you can't have any tolls in London, but yet they're taking money for passage through London. And the whole congestion, ULEZ as well. That's a huge thing. Sue Hall, the Conservative candidate, was going to refund all of the ULEZ fines and abolish it if she'd have won the mayor position. So that actually would have refunded a lot of fines. And the ULEZ, I can't see how a couple of wood-burning stoves around Wakefield is going to be anywhere near as much as an issue as, everyone's vehicles. But anyway, right? So this is a story. Wakefield Council investigated 216 complaints relating to domestic chimneys between 2019 and 2022. Story by Tony Gardner. Local democracy. A council in West Yorkshire has started imposing fines in a bid to clamp down on the illegal use of domestic log burners. Well, they've only just started doing them. This is 22nd of July 2024. It's saying there were 216 complaints between 2019 and 2022. And it's just saying that they've started to impose the fines. Wakefield Council brought in new measures in December, or did they, to allow environmental health officers to issue fixed penalty notices to stop excessive smoke emissions. Well, that's fines. It's not criminal charge. I think this is in all the new regulations they're trying to bring in these woke governments where they've effectively got bylaws. Barry Shearman, the long-standing Labour politician, said, we don't want to go back to the dark ages, we don't want to go back in time, we want to make progress, but we did have bylaws. We had different laws in different areas. They wanted to abolish that and have one legislation for the whole country. Now what they're doing with one legislation for the whole country is giving them back bylaw powers in local areas. And the Big Brother Watch have been talking about this when it comes to CCTV, surveillance, facial recognition, making regulations so you know people can't wear a red hat or something in a certain area, which has got to tie into facial recognition. So now they're actually wanting different areas to have different bylaws and powers, which is going to be a nightmare. They thought that was backward and, old-fashioned. They wanted to make progress, to make everyone in uniformity. I think what the uniformity is going to be now is that there are loads of things that people would oppose in central government. There are lots of things that central government would do which they really want, like all this, hat laws and stuff, but people would oppose it. So if they break it down into separate councils, bringing in ridiculous regulations, then they'll blame local councils, not central government. So then you can't get that party out of government because it's split up into multiple targets, and every area will just have to get the council out. But then they've got a mayor now over larger areas of West Yorkshire who's affiliated to a party like Labour, even if Green Party's get into council. And then they want to change the building and planning laws for the whole country or remove them. So then if loads of Green councillors get in, all the Dems who are going to try and stop planning, they're going to try and remove it. So they just want to beat you. They actually want to beat the public. They don't want... They want to somehow completely and totally cheat. So how they're going to do it now is they've made all these different layers. So even if local councillors get in, they've still got like a Labour mayor over the whole county. Or if you try and vote whoever out, then if you try and change the main government, once they've implemented all these different area laws, then you can't stop them. So it's almost like chasing around Lilliputians or something. But yeah, they're claiming that we are the misbehaving ones. We are the Lilliputians, They want whatever they want at any given time, which is how they can win and get what they want through to the country, even though regardless of people opposing it. That's the truth of the matter, not democracy. But anyway, try and get back to this now. So, Wakefield Council have brought these new measures in, came after the rising complaints about chimney smoke from solid fuel appliances. Jack Hemmingway, cabinet member for the Environmental and Climate Change, confirmed the first penalty issued under the new powers saw a stove owner fined £175. Well, that's illegal. I think it's illegal if it's wood. And we'll get into the law of that shortly. Maybe not fuel, but it could be argued fuel. They're saying it's a blight on communities, but this is language that the Huddersfield Examiner always use. I saw blight on communities. Aren't these new regulations a blight on communities? ultimately, the powers will only be utilised following a verbal discussion and written warning. Well, I don't think there aren't any powers. There is also a full appeals process. Well, I'd like to get hold of that appeals process for this first fine, because I straight away I'll write the whole thing off. And if you think that I won't, then we've got to see with Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, because he's got the entire list. It's going to come down to all or nothing, this, because Wakefield Council need to realise that this is very real and very serious. The Magna Carta, 4 clauses are in force now, still officially, and one of them is the Liberty of London. And the Liberty of London is no charges for passage through London, right? It's the A5. It's to do with the A5 and the Watling Street. So that is a reality, and you know to prove that is to do the whole thing. So you know it is going to be probably either all or nothing, but it's a big issue. And if Wakefield Council are just going to laugh it off as a pathetic attempt at a complaint, well, it's serious. It's going to be a huge thing. It's going to be massive. It's going to be all or nothing. It's going to be the congestion charge in London. It's going to be ULEZ. It's going to be all this log burning laws, or all the things that are in Magna Carta, which is your right to have fuel for burning and keep warm. Logs, it says, wood, and the authorities not take it off you, right? Or prevent you from using it. There is also a full appeals process, but it's not necessary to have stronger powers for repeat offenders blighting our communities. Well, you know, there aren't any powers as far as I'm concerned, just like the ULEZ charge don't have powers. It's illegal. And any orders and judgments made in violation of the Magna Carta are void, illegal. I've got all that statute law collected as well, right? A report by Hemmingway will be discussed at full council meeting on Wednesday, according to the local Democratic Reporting Service. Well, I'm going to submit a complaint into that. Figures show the council investigated 260 complaints under the new powers. There is no powers. Environment Act 2021. Well, that order is in violation of the Magna Carta. When the government put the Environment Act 2021 through, that's in violation of the Magna Carta on the points of the wood burning. Continued defending can lead to prosecution. No, it can't. The measures are also designed to make it easier to prosecute sellers of prohibited solid fuels and providers of appliances are not by the Department of Environment and Rural Affairs. Well, it can't take wood from you. The report said while the adverse health impacts of smoke emissions are generally accepted, wood burners are perceived to be an environmentally friendly method of heating. Many people don't realise that using a log burner can triple levels of harmful pollution. Well, the fact is what the law is. It doesn't matter what they think about the environment. It's about the law and what they can do and what they can't do. And Magna Carta cannot be repealed. That's not just a passing comment. I'm going to tell you now, in as simplest way as possible, how simple it is. And this is it, right? The Magna Carta contains a lot of the ancient rights and privileges of this nation. In 1967, Queen Elizabeth II, through the Criminal Law Act, repealed a large amount of Magna Carta, leaving these 4 clauses, right? They put an order through the government, which was given royal assent by Elizabeth. It's still a judgment and order at the level of Parliament, right? That's illegal in statute law, because anyone who repeals statute law or makes orders against the Magna Carta or judgments is a traitor of the realm, right? And if you think that, well, that's dubious, we're not too sure whether we believe you or not, well, the privileges that Elizabeth repealed include the Lord's actual peerage privilege, that lords and barons can only be judged by their equals, right? Now, that's one of the ancient rights and privileges of England. Now, when Parliament opens, and has opened since 1967, the Speaker and this is all in a Thomas Erskine May book on the usage of Parliament, if you want to find it. The Speaker opens Parliament with a petition with the Chancellor, and in the petition they invoke and call all of the ancient rights and privileges. You can check this. All of the ancient rights and privileges of the realm. They call them into effect and use them for Parliament opening and working. Now, that includes the privileges of the peers. All of the ancient rights and privileges. Now, Queen Elizabeth has apparently repealed some of them in 1967. So, she can't have done, because they've been invoking them to open Parliament with into use in the Speaker's petition. So someone's broke the law here, right? Queen Elizabeth II. So either her order, her repeal through the Criminal Law Act 1967 isn't valid, it's void. It says any judgment made against the Magna Carta is void in law, right? So either she hasn't repealed them or she did repeal them and Parliament never opened lawfully. It can't have opened lawfully if she repealed all the ancient rights and privileges, because the Speaker uses them all in the opening of Parliament. So either Parliament is actually void or the repeal is void. Either one or the other. And I would say that the repeal is void. So the whole Magna Carta is still in effect. But the Liberty of London was still in effect anyway, because that is one of the clauses that hasn't been repealed or claimed to have been repealed. It's really quite simple. The right to burn and use wood is in Magna Carta, and the government cannot take it off you or prevent you. It's a given right to keep warm in a home. It's an ancient right and privilege of England. So, you know, we're up against this new Richard Hormer, KC now, new Attorney General, who claims that he's going to uphold all the rights. Is he going to scam us out of them? Is he going to uphold them? He claims that he's not going to affiliate with a party, but Labour are now in charge of the government. Keir Starmer was a Crown Prosecutor. All the Labour Party around England pretty much worship him. They think he's the dog's bot. Well, they think that he's the cream cheese or whatever in law. But yet they're bringing all these woke laws. We've got Big Brother Watch campaign group is fighting against a lot of these laws, like the surveillance, all these new literally bylaws that they're trying to bring in. This wood burning law, even though it doesn't matter, it's not about whether you agree with it or not. It's about the fact that in Magna Carta, they can't stop you from burning wood. It's an ancient right and privilege of the people. Can't be done in law. Can't make a judgment. So it hasn't been repealed in 1967. Otherwise, Parliament hasn't been able to open. It's not been legitimate, and none of these new laws that they've made have been passed. You might as well say that if Elizabeth did repeal it in 1967. Parliament has been opening unlawfully since 1967, and therefore nothing it's done can be regarded as legitimate. None of the new laws means that we've got all of the laws of 1960 up to 1967, because Parliament hasn't opened legitimately. In fact, they might have even tried to repeal some other clauses before then, but the flesh of it, they repealed. So either it hasn't been repealed and wood burning is lawful and cannot be fined or banned, or Parliament itself is illegitimate and none of the laws they've made since 1967 are enforceable or in effect. They've made an extremely large mess and of law. And I think that this is, because they don't really understand or know law properly. People stand to be MPs who don't actually really know the law properly. They just, Angela Rayner is probably not, I don't think Rayner should be an MP in the Parliament of England. really. And Starmer's wanting to remove all of the hereditary peers, people who are meant to be educated, or meant to at least know something. They do know there is a level of people in Parliament, in the Lords, who do know what the law is meant to be and should be. And when they write lots of laws, they write it intelligently and knowledgeably what they're doing. And this is how you can read it and follow it and recognise it and know what's meant to be. But some of them are con artists, con men, and they've been purposely cheating us out of rights and privileges. But when we need them to, defend ourselves, what? There was a Microsoft computer error recently, and people couldn't access things. What happens if, people can't warm their home? What happens if it goes, if electricity goes off for a month, from a solar flare or God knows what? Oh, then we're going to remove the thing and then you can heat your fire. They're also trying to force people to change the style of their homes within certain areas, so it's not a traditional feel or style anymore, because they want to encourage modern style housing. That's not fair. That's what Sadiq Khan's doing in London, with the cars as well. And a lot of people are saying that these new cars don't even drive that well or handle well. Ultimately, they don't really want us to have private vehicles. So we've got big issues. I don't think America are quite near banning log burning stoves, because it's such a vast country and there's such a massive area of wild, and they've only got, compared to the whole of America, there are only certain city areas. Maybe they have, but I can't see Robert F. Kennedy Jr. thinking you wouldn't do it in America, like somewhere like Colorado or whatever. I don't think even in the city, if somebody wanted a log burning stove, like, Tucker Carlson or whatever, it's such a different country, and people driving around long distances, and things like that. It's just not on in Russia as well. It's just not on the agenda. So, I don't know. There's going to be a council meeting over this, and they're not going to listen to half an hour of me talking probably, unless I email them all individually or put it on the Facebook page. I don't even know if the councillors look at the Facebook page, but I'm going to record this and send it. Maybe I can require it for that meeting, or for that matter for the people. Actually, we've got his name, haven't we? We've got this guy's name, Hemmingway. So, Hemingway is going to challenge me on it, but as far as I'm concerned, it's what, look at Sadiq Khan. You've got people challenge him live on TV in question and answers, and he just ignores them at the end if he don't want to answer the question. His head's inflated to a size which, he's breaking the law, and he's getting away with it, and people are starting to know about it now. A lot of these people are criminals. They want to make change for good, but, they need to find lawful ways of doing it that are compatible with the legislation. They're just going against the law because they don't know it. And their predecessors are crooked and have made a mess of the law as well. And some of these laws we really need to protect and preserve. So, this is it. So that's it. Wakefield Council, I need to find out who got charged. The first penalty issued and the new powers, so a stove owner